Welcome to the Straight from the Source's Mouth podcast. Frank talk about sex and dating.
Hello, everyone. Tamara here. Welcome to the show. Today's guest is Treva Brandon Scharf, and you'll hear us talking about finding love on the apps and in real life, as well as her story as a late blooming bride. If you like this episode, be sure to tell your friends about it and rate it as well. Thanks for joining me today, Treva.
Thank you so much, Tamara. It's great to be here.
That, or we can talk about just dating in general, because I know you have your own podcast and you're a dating and relationship coach as well. Just talk about dating on the apps or real life meeting.
So, back when dinosaurs walked the earth, and I was online, which was, I think, like the beginning of online dating was probably 2000, early 2000s. It was shameful, if somebody said to you, "Oh, how did you guys meet?" And you would whisper online, because it was just like for losers, right? And then look what's happened. Over the years, it's become more and more acceptable and less destigmatized. And then the pandemic made it virtually impossible to meet IRL. And so my guess is the dating apps got a huge boost of business during the last 3 years. Yeah. I love them. I'm going to be honest. I have a love-hate relationship with dating apps, digital dating. When they work, they're great. When people are kind, they're great. When people are respectful and considerate, they're great. They offer unbelievable amounts of possibilities and options, which is great. Okay, so they're basically they're a force of good. Okay, until they're not, and this is where I sort of go off the rails. When people are unkind and inconsiderate and mean and selfish and abusive, and we all know the horror stories. It is a necessary evil, I guess, and a necessary benefit to everybody who's single. If you're not on the apps, you're missing out. But with that said, I always tell my clients, please spend equal amounts of time in real life, in person, as you do on the apps. Please give it balance.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, and are there any do's and don'ts, or I know mostly women get lots of matches and men don't get many. Like I've talked about this in other episodes where 20% of the men get all the matches and 80% get almost none or none. And is there anything you can say to young guys out there to get the matches that they're, or at least get swiped on? I know they don't get less, but better their chances.
It's such a, in a way, crapshoot. We just have no control. I mean, we can control what we can. We can look good, guys. I say this to anybody. Look, I'm from the self-improvement business. I was a trainer for 20 plus years. I've been in the fitness business pretty much all my life. So I believe in self-improvement. I'm a junkie, full on, fangirl of it. So yeah, if you want to attract people, you have to work on being attractive. It's just not going to magically appear. So yes, take care of yourself, look good, get good pictures taken, write a good bio. Do the best you can, make the effort, and then you got to let go. You just have to kind of detach from the outcome, which is a little bit of a Zen Buddhist philosophy, which, again, I tell people of all ages. You can't hold on with such a death grip. You can't, that then nothing's going to happen. Yes, it's skewed. It's not skewed fairly toward men. So men know this and proceed accordingly, and take your game outside. Go, do what you do outside in the real world, organically. Do the best you can when you're outside, when you go get coffee, when you're with your friends, there are a ton of places where you are now able to meet people. We can meet in person, which is great. and do not lose
And if you take your phone away from or take your eyes off the phone and look out in real life, you might actually see people around. So yeah, you were talking about how difficult it is for the guys, and like just, maybe in real life is a little better. So if you could go on about.
It's not easy being single today at all. And I realize it's a different time than when I was single. I think with the Me Too movement, that's changed a lot of things. It's changed the power dynamics. It's changed how we interact with each other. It's changed the male-female, the dance, so to speak. People don't flirt anymore. Men don't approach women anymore. It's just hostile territory, which makes me super sad. I understand how we got here because guys are jerks. Some, not all. But therein lies the problem, is that a few bad apples ruin it for everybody. And so now, every woman is, thinking that, all men are jerks, all men are creeps, all men are abusers and harassers. No, that's not it at all. And I think it's up to young men to prove them wrong, that not all guys are bad. Because we are living in such a hostile sort of dating culture, and everyone is so threatened and so suspicious, right? And so cynical of everybody's motives. It is going to take a little bit of effort for guys to disarm women. And I really lament, there was a time when if a guy saw a woman, was attracted to a woman across the room, or he made his way over in a respectful, nice, tactful, non-threatening way, and said whatever he said. Hi, you're cute, or I find you attractive. I'd like to get to know you, or hi, what's your name, or whatever the line was. I mean, that was just called flirting. It was called getting hit on. And back in the day, every woman liked to be hit on because it's a compliment. Now there's all kinds of anger and emotion wrapped up in it, and fear. I really don't know how people are supposed to meet each other in real life, which is my favorite, IRL, organically. Yeah. I think that there's a way to do it, and you just have to read, guys and women have to read cues, signals, body language, and then take no for an answer.
And it used to be like guys would just play a numbers game and hit on like all the women, and then at least one or two might, be interested, which I don't know if you recommend that or not, but there used to be a time where they could just, take the no and go to the next.
Before apps, we weren't in such a hurry to go on to the next one because we didn't know where the next one was going to be. It's not like now where you just, if something doesn't work out or, someone doesn't check off all of your boxes, you just toss them and go back online. That's, there's an endless supply. This is the paradox of choice, if you've ever heard that saying, where there's so much choice, there's so much selection, there's so many options that we can't pick one, number one, and then we can't invest, we can't slow down enough to get to know that person. And if, God forbid, that woman or that guy doesn't meet all of the criteria, well, bam, goodbye. Swipe left, I'm out, I'm on to the next one.
Or they say something that offended you or you got a little mad about, and you're just like, swipe or ghost them and just, delete them or whatever, and unmatch.
Oh, sure. A lot of, listen, there's always been bad behavior in dating. That's not new. However, it wasn't as blatant and so brazen as it is now, because I think there was a sort of a level of humanity when you're dating in real life. When you're dating, you just, you see there's a meet cute, right? Mm-hmm. Or you get fixed up even more. You're not going to be mean to someone who fixed you up. You're not going to be a jerk to that person, because it'll get back to the friend that fixed you up. And, there is some accountability. There is no accountability online. You could be as rotten and mean and inconsiderate as you want to. No one knows who you are. It's just, it's not a good, it's not good, because what happens is then you upset someone and that person gets hurt, and then it's like a poison that person carries with him or her into the next one. And, it's like an anger poison, and they're angry and they're frustrated, and then they take it out on the next person and the next person. This is where online dating makes me crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously that there's a lot of bad news with dating apps, or like we said all the bad stuff, but in the positives or pros, at least, there's a way to meet people you never would have met before. So if nothing else, we can at least know that, you have a larger pool.
You will meet people you will never ever meet in your little general neighborhood here, right? It gives you a ton of, opportunity, and it casts a really wide net, and that's fantastic. And you're all there for the same reason, which is really great, right? It's a target-rich environment. You don't have to, it's not like you're out at a club or somewhere and you have to guess, is this woman single? Like, whoever's on there is single, or we think we know. We think we know.
Yeah, at least they claim to be single. Yeah, true. Yeah. All right. And then, so let's go. We've covered a lot of the online. I know it's no one's favorite, but it's kind of an necessary evil, like you said. So let's go to in real life. I know we started talking about that before we had our glitch with our comms or technology. So you were saying how, that's probably the best way, since guys don't get a lot of matches online, to just, like we talked about earlier, it used to be women got hit on all the time. Like, well, how do you suggest guys approach women without the threatening? Like we said, it used to be kind of normal, and you just like hit on people. Like how, like, let's reteach some of the younger guys, like
how to hit on someone,
what that looks like.
This is an old art. It's an art form. It's called flirting. It's called, hitting on someone. And so you see someone at the coffee place or in line or, wherever you make eye contact with someone, at the home improvement store. I don't care, wherever you go. And, I would say make eye contact first and smile. And if you get a smile back, okay. There's a little bit of an entree, right? And then just, depending on how far away and what the proximity is, you could be as close to somebody in line at Starbucks. And there's nothing wrong with just making a comment about how long the line is, or what do you usually get here, or strike up some chat, some sort of innocent, conversation, a question, a comment, a compliment. If you're at the store, if you're shopping, same thing. And I don't think any woman would be, put off by someone approaching her and saying, I know this might be, not PC these days, but I'm going to take a chance here and tell you that I'm normally very shy. This is not easy for me to do, but I find you very attractive, and I'm wondering, and I'd like to know more about you, or something like that. Come approach it in a cautious way. Again, read for cues, signals, and then go in for the, I hate to say go in for the kill, but make your approach, man. Just say it. Say, I'm super shy, or this is weird. Say what is the elephant in the room. This is not done these days. I'm shy. This could be, misconstrued, but I'm a good guy, and I'm, taking a chance here, and I'm going to assert myself and tell you that you're very attractive, or I'd like to get to know you. I mean, who wouldn't like that? I think that's a lovely thing. Women dig that. Yeah.
And women are kind of, like you were saying, like, we miss the days where we did get hit on, and, we might not have liked catcalls from strangers that like were creepy or whatever, but just something coming up to you. Or if people would just get off their phones and actually look at each other, that would be the first step too. Cause I've seen so many guys that are just walking around, like staring at their phone, and like, you're on the app looking for someone. You could be passing her on the street as you speak, if you would look up instead of just look down. So
something everybody should do that, regardless of what your relationship status is, regardless of how old you are. Everybody should put their phones down and be present. Open your eyes, look around, take it in. Yeah. We are really missing out on a lot of just beautiful, normal, simple things because we're face down in our phones and we're not looking around anymore. It's really kind of sad.
Yeah. And especially for men, like we were saying, if they get less matches online, like that's going to be the way to meet people. So you in particular could take your.
Yeah. And let's the reality of it is that very few guys are doing it. So think of it that way. You guys listening to right now, okay, you have way open, right, opportunities because so few men are doing it. Why don't you go in, do it and do something that'll be really strong. And it's a great move. It says a lot about who you are approaching a woman.
And especially like you said, even if you're shy, like just say that, like, no one does this nowadays. I'm pretty shy. Like that would be the perfect way to disarm.
Oh my God. Yeah, right. Disarm and just, say what it is. It's the elephant in the room. We all know what this is. This is why we don't do it anymore. And isn't this a shame? And I'm sorry that this is the way it is, but I'm going to do something different. I'm going to tell you you're attractive. Oh my God. I'm going to ask if you want to, go have a cup of coffee. I'm going to ask if you're single. I hope you don't mind, but I'm being direct. Sue me. What did John Wooden, the UCLA coach, once say? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Right? Take your shot.
Yeah. And even, and I talk about this in one of them. Yeah. In another episode, we talk about attraction levels and some people, I don't know, I would be cautious in who you approach if you know for a fact, like if you're on a certain attraction level and they're a different attraction level, that's where I think some of the problems stem from, unfortunately, is when people misread, attraction levels or interest and, go for practice on people that you think you could attract. I don't know if that sounds real.
Yeah. Look, not everybody's going to be open to it. And there are women that are just haters that just want to be left alone. They're just pissed and they don't want to deal. And, you'll know who they are because they're looking down. They won't look at you. And again, if somebody catches your eye and if someone's attractive to you, you have to keep, it's practice. And I look at it as flirting is a muscle.
Yeah.
Use it or lose it. It's a muscle. Asserting yourself is good practice for life. Otherwise, we get soft and we don't talk and it gets harder, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you start to feel awkward, and then the longer you don't do it, the more.
And then the more out of practice you get. Connect. So that when you're in a situation where there are like at a party, okay, or a club, or someplace or even wherever your choice to meet people, a meetup event. You want to have some skills, man. You want to have some game, some moves, right?
Yeah, or at least just. You never know. Like that's when people find each other. The one time someone randomly talked to you is like the person you end up marrying. Like there's so many stories like that. So
yeah, there's. Go ahead.
No, I was going to change the subject. So if you want to
go ahead, go ahead.
Further this one.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask because I know you have a book and you have your own podcast as well. So I want to make sure, and we want to talk about the late blooming bride story. So if we can maybe switch to that part.
Sure.
Hopefully the guys got enough nuggets from this, what we talked about, go out there and practice. Yeah. So you can either start with the book or your late blooming story or all the stuff. Whichever.
Okay. So I wrote a book. It's a self-help memoir, and it's called Done Being Single, A Late Bloomer's Guide to Love. So yes, I am a late bloomer, but the truth is, and the book is for people, the truth is everyone's a late bloomer. We are all late bloomers, okay? Nobody has it entirely together. maybe if you're, I don't know, some people, right, who like know they're going to be a doctor when they grow up and marry the girl of their dreams out of high school and have a kid super fast and like, okay, they have it all together. People like me, no, not so much. I didn't know what I wanted. So it took me a while. And that journey, of getting to be married took me 51 years. And excuse me, I wrote this book because I was blogging about it. When I got engaged, I started a blog called The Late Blooming Bride because I thought, oh, this is really funny, a 50-year-old getting married for the first time. And then the blog kind of took off into other areas of dating and relationships and marriage and midlife and getting older. And then at a certain point, I just thought, you know what, I think I have a book in me. So I took the blogs kind of as inspiration and expanded upon it and included a ton of dating advice and wisdom and guidance, and not just mine, but like I quote all kinds of super great, smart people. There's content from all kinds of heavy duty, relationship experts and intimacy experts and scientists. And so it's really a great resource for anybody at any age. And even, it doesn't matter if you're looking for love. It's for people who've already found love too.
Yeah. For the advice part of it, the relationship stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. So you want to tell a little bit of your story of how you came to be a bride?
So I was single, and I met just by accident. We caught each other's eye on Facebook. We went to the same school. We're from the same town. He's a bit older than me. I did not know who he was, but we've got a big kind of mutual high school network in common. And we established that we have this one friend in common. And my husband, Robbie, at the time, he private messaged me out of concern for this mutual friend of ours who was having a hard time. And so that was the initial contact. So it was private message. And I said, no, thank you. I don't want to help this guy. But you seem like a nice guy, and you are a good friend. And that kind of started a little bit of an icebreaker. So now I knew who he was. And I was going through a breakup at the time and just I didn't want to flirt. I didn't want to chat. I didn't want to be hit on or, like all the things we're talking about. I was giving signals like, stay away, not interested, no thanks. And then after I kind of got through the roughest part of the breakup, I started feeling better. And right at that time, I was about to turn 50 and was feeling much better, had turned a corner and thought, well, I'm never getting married, so I might as well have a really big 50th birthday party. And I did. I threw a huge party and I invited half of Facebook, including Robbie, who showed up without ever meeting me. And there was a nice connection, and cut to, long story short, we got engaged 6 months later. And I should mention, he is also a late blooming groom. He had never been married, and he's 6 years older than me. So, by the time we walked down the aisle, I was 51 and he was 57. Never been married, no kids, no, just us. No pets.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's so many women in their 40s that are so paranoid. I have many friends that got married like in their 40s, and that seemed like an older age at the time, and now it's probably bumping up more to like everyone's getting married later, and or because of the struggles of even meeting people nowadays.
Yeah, and I also yes, I'm aware of that. It's just maybe gotten, it's interesting because there's so many dating apps out there, right? There's just like so many opportunities to meet people, like you almost don't have an excuse. But as we were talking about, it's a delusion. It's an illusion. It's illusory. You think you have, it's so easy, right? But not really. It takes a lot of, going through right. Like just getting through the riffraff to meet someone. But you do hear stories. You do hear success stories, and it's beautiful. So I don't know. I think that we, that it's not changed too much. Like I said, it's, the same frustrations as there have always been in dating, but for some reason it's just gotten more toxic now. A lot more angry people out there. And I should also mention that, maybe it's become a little more difficult to connect like it, than it was. And it's also much more, acceptable to be single. So that's a good thing, that there's not the level of pressure or expectation there was when I was growing up, where, even up until very recently, now, people are opting out entirely of the dating world to be single because it's just, it's too much of a hassle. Yeah. And no one's saying anything about it because it's more and more acceptable. And so I think it's getting a lot more destigmatized being single.
Yeah. Single later. Yeah. And then the no kids thing too. There's a lot of people out there, child free, that, chose it and are choosing it. And I know I'm in a group, I mentioned this on several episodes, where, it's a Facebook group where people are getting, surgically altered to not ever have kids. Like they are so sure that they don't want kids. So that's a lot more common nowadays too. And
everything's more common nowadays. Everything is more everything. You can be who you are, right? You can let your freak fly, your flag freak, your freak flag fly. We're living in a really much better, more acceptable, open, world where, our alternative lifestyles they're not so alternative anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I have several episodes on that, and it's becoming more and more common for sure. I have a good friend that married 10 years and they just started in the alternative stuff, and there's like no going back for them apparently. And, a lot more people are curious about it.
Yeah. So that's nice. There's less judgment, for a lot of things, not everything. I mean, whatever's going on in the transgender world right now is horrific. I almost think that's the last frontier of judgment and condemnation. It seems like everything else right now is way more acceptable than it used to be. I mean, geez, in my lifetime, it was illegal to have a mixed race marriage. It was illegal to marry an African American. Okay, that's like in the early 60s. So we've come a long way. Yeah. We take steps backwards all the time, which is unfortunate. I say that with, women's rights right in the forefront of my mind. But hey, man, if you want to stay single, great. If you never want to get married, great. If you don't want to have kids, no one's going to harsh you.
Yeah. 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 And I was going to ask if there's anything you want to say to like kind of conclude for that. I mean, that's kind of a good ending point, or if you want to kind of rehash your how to get a hold of you or your book information.
Oh, sure. The book, Done Being Single, A Late Bloomer's Guide to Love, is kind of where books are sold, wherever you get your books. It's on Amazon, I know, right now, in barnesandnoble.com. And again, I just, I can't say enough about it. There's something for everybody in it. You will find men, you will thoroughly enjoy it. I speak to you. I have you in my mind. My husband also speaks to you in the book. Women, young women, divorced women. There is life advice in here that is really, it's dating advice, but it's life advice. This book is as much dating advice as it is personal growth and personal development. So, and that's really the key to being your best version of yourself, to being a really available, healthy single person. It's not just getting on the apps and getting fixed up and looking good. And yeah, it's all that. But truthfully, it's the stuff that goes on before that, the work that you do on yourself and the growth and, it's the stuff we do to boost our self-esteem and resilience that will make you, that will help you in the single world.
Yeah. Even the willingness to grow, like even if you don't think you have problems or issues or baggage from your past or childhood, everyone does, but you might not like be as aware. So just even being open to growth. So.
Yeah. And yes, you may not realize that things need to be fixed. And listen, I'm all for the concept that you're enough. That's thrown around a lot. You're enough. You are enough as you are. And yes, you are. But I think there are opportunities for growth, improvement. This book addresses all that. And then it also addresses when to stop and when to accept yourself and when to forgive yourself.
Yeah, very good points. Yeah. All right. I would say we can end it right there because that was like awesome tidbits for people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and if you want to get a hold of me, if you want to learn more about me and read my blogs and watch my podcast episodes and learn more about my coaching services, just go to my website. You can also buy the book off the website, which is Treva Brandon. What's my name? Treva Brandon. TrevaBrandonScharf.com.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to have all that information. And my podcast is educational, so I love that you have a book and you have all the other resources as well on your website. So thank you very much for being on this show.
Oh my gosh. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Hopefully they'll all come out in the editing. But thank you. This was a total pleasure. You're a wonderful host. And however I could be of help, I'm glad that, I'm glad you invited me.
Yeah, and I'm glad the listeners, they're going to learn a lot from this. I always say that, really great information, especially for those guys struggling with dating. So hopefully you can take some nuggets from this.
I more than half of my clientele right now are men, and I do really well with men. I get them. I understand their struggle. And so don't hesitate just because I'm a female, doesn't mean anything. So reach out, talk to me, work with me. I am here.
Yeah, definitely. I second that. I've enjoyed the conversation and it's easy and awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. I will. Thank you again. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. And if you love this episode, be sure to rate it and tell your friends about it and follow and subscribe. All right. Thanks again.
Frank Talk, Sex and Dating educates.